Recording in progress.
Okay.
I think it does too, because I can barely hear myself. Is that better?
You're coming through fine.
How's that?
Okay. My name is Kimmy Robinson. I'm the new president. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for nominating me. I really appreciate it. Hope I don't let you down. So I got a couple of things I want to announce. I'll try not to breathe into the mic too heavy. Okay, so in the email for the meeting for tonight, I put a couple of events. So I just wanted to remind you about those. So March 1st is the second annual Big Blue Barbecue. It's free. You do have to RSVP. That's at Kirkwood Temple Gym, 1440 Sunny Glen Drive in Dallas. And it's sponsored by John Crusoe and numerous other Dallas County judges. So it's kind of a no pressure event, just RSVP, show up, hang out, rub elbows, that sort of thing. And then there's the Dallas County Democratic Party fish fry for 2025. That's April 4th. That's Friday. It starts at 6. You do have to pay for that a little bit. So, you know, if you're in the mood to support Dallas County Democratic Party and eat some fried fish, I encourage you to sign up for that. I had a couple questions for you, but actually, Horace was talking about, I guess tomorrow at Dallas County Democratic Party, they're making signs, right? It's tomorrow at Dallas County Democratic Party headquarters on Washington Avenue. What time is it? The sign making starts at 4, and that's for a protest down at downtown Dallas on Saturday. And some other people are going to speak on that. But, you know, if you're looking for something to do and you feel like some arts and crafts, you can go to Dallas County Democratic Party tomorrow at 4 and make some signs. So that might be fun. Judy, you're shaking your head. No, not into arts and crafts. Oh, okay. All right. That's fair. Have a couple of very important questions for you. Just awkward silence while I find them really quickly. Okay. What did the corrupt congressman order on election day? Anybody? The corrupt congressman? What did he order on election day? Guesses? Say it again. Just any election day.
Shares in Tesla. I don't know.
I mean, close, Kurt, but stuffed ballots. Okay, can I get applause? Yay! All right. Stuffed ballots. I know it's tongue in cheek, but kind of quaint, right? Those were the days. Second question, why can't Congress ever be vegan? Be vegan. Why can't Congress ever be vegan? Very close, very close. Because because all the turkeys playing chicken and a beef over pork is pretty fishy. And then back to serious things. Are you guys interacting with the MetroCrest Democrats Facebook group? Does anybody care about the MetroCrest Democrats Facebook group? Does anybody visit it? James, you're laughing. That's a no. Okay, well, I'm asking because I think I would like to, you know, not give the Zuck any more of our time and money, and would love to close down that account. And I would actually love to maybe move it to Blue Sky. I see heads nodding. Does anybody have any like big, huge objection? Beyond Blue Sky. What do you think, Judy? You don't like it? Are you interacting with the Facebook page? Yeah, so I haven't been on it in forever. So that's kind of why I'm asking, among other reasons. You haven't? Yeah.
What is Blue Sky?
That's the answer to Twitter that everybody loves.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a new platform. Yeah.
Say that when we have candidates again, Facebook is the way for a candidate to, communicate with constituents.
Okay.
Various groups, and it's low cost, and more people that get away from Facebook, candidates are really gonna be scrambling to figure out a way, how are you gonna, say anything to anybody?
Okay, well, we don't have to disappear tonight.
It's no cost to keep it. It's free. Facebook account on Metro.
Okay, I really hate that count, but whatever. That's cool. We can keep it.
I have a blue sky, but I'm never on there.
Oh, get on it, Judy. Let's go. Chop chop. I'm teasing. Okay, and then we need some folks to maybe pipe up and help us call members who get the emails but don't come to our meetings. Does anybody want to do anything like that? Reach out to members, just a phone call. Hey, we're having a meeting. Haven't seen you in forever. I know. Okay. Excellent. Got 3, 4. Yes.
Yeah, but I also, after this, I wanted to talk about going to the CEC meeting as precinct chair. And there's another, it's like a group me type that's big. I'll have to look at it. It's like another blue sky thing, but it's more specific. I can't think of the name of it. Obviously, I haven't used it much, but I plan
Okay.
to.
Okay. Well,
It's
yeah.
the one they were promoting in terms of signal.
So Signal is not a social media. That's a messaging app. I use Signal. I like Signal, but it's not social media per se.
Group D is, if there's an event, you could kind of like post it from, with all of the, connections you have. In your group, that it goes out to them.
Okay, we can think about it. We can discuss. I know there's something else, but I don't have my list in front of me. So I'll look at it when David's speaking, and I'll get back to you on everything else. So tonight we have David Griggs speaking for us. Yay! And I believe David's going to be speaking about the Texas Democratic Party chair election. Gilberto Hinojosa stepping down in March, making it official in March. So, David, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. And so this is the Zoom
Yes.
platform.
Yes.
Well, good evening, everyone. Wow, this is a big crowd when you're up here looking down. Well, thank you all for coming. My name is David Griggs. I'm the SEC committee man for Congressional District 24. I know many of you. Work with you on campaigns. I've been involved in this club with many of you, and I've seen many of you at state conventions. So thank you for your activism and your support of all of these activities, as well as our Dallas County and Denton County parties. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background on why we're having another chair election with the SDEC, because some of you who went to the convention last time know that we typically have an election for chair at the state convention every 4 years. It's a 4-year term now. And our chair was elected in 2022, Gilberto Hinojosa, and so his term would be up in 2026. But he has decided to step down as of March the 29th. He made that announcement back in November. And so the SDEC, by rules, will have to find a replacement for the rest of this term. That means for the final year and a half of his chairmanship, there will be an interim chair. And then that person theoretically would probably run again in Corpus Christi in 2026. That's where our state convention will be in the summer of 2026. So make your plans to go to the beach that summer. That's where we're going to have our meeting. So a few things I want to do tonight. I've been invited to come and talk about this issue. So there's 4 things I want to try to accomplish. One, how did we get here? What happened? Why did he resign? Or why did he announce his resignation? Why are we talking about this? Okay, first of all. Secondly, I want to explain what the process is in the rules and in the discussion that the SDC had in December to set the process for this selection. We'll talk about that. And then I want to share with you information about some of the candidates who are running. There are 9 of them. And so I have a little bit of information about each of them. I have been watching the debates that they've had. They've had a couple of forums, and we've got a couple more coming up. I'll tell you about all that. And then finally, I want to share with you some of the ideals that I have of what a chair should be. What do we need in a state chair? What attributes? What strengths? What do we need someone to be able to do to help us turn the state blue? So anyway, those are my objectives. Let me start with, how did we get here? Well, as you know, we didn't do as well in the election as we had hoped. There were several parts of our state that didn't turn out as well as we had thought. Of course, we can hit ourselves over the head and talk about blame all we want to, but this happened all across the country. And things weren't as bad here as they were elsewhere. That doesn't take away from the fact that we still didn't do very well. And there were races where there wasn't a lot of money spent, 2 years ago, and a whole lot of money was spent this time, and that candidate didn't do much better. So what is the problem? Do we need to raise more money, or do we need to change the way we get the message across? All right. So, or were we just, hit by a wave that went the other way and nothing we could do would have changed it? We don't know. There's a lot of thought as to what happened and why we lost. But I can tell you one thing that we have to do, and that is make sure we do not lose any more of our foundation of support in South Texas. We can't afford to do that. It's probably one of the most important things that I'm looking for in a chair, is what is their plan for that. So Chairman Hossa decided that he would step aside and let someone different finish out his term. He's been chair for about 12 years. He was hoping to, I think, serve out the rest of his 4 years, but he just decided he would go ahead and let someone else come in and get the process going, because he was definitely not going to run again. So that way there will be someone on the ground, so to speak, and then at the convention in 2026, the midterm year, hopefully we won't have to fight among ourselves as to who the chair will be. We'll have a chair, and if we still like that person will probably get elected on their own by the convention. Now, the rules basically say that if a chair resigns in the middle of their term, it is the responsibility for the state board, which is the SDEC, State Democratic Election Commission, SDEC committee, to pick that successor. I think the rules are same for both parties, so that's how that works. We have a lot of statutory election law stuff that governs some of that. I happen to have been around the last time we had a chair resign in the middle of the term. We had to find someone. So I've been there before. And so it's an interesting process. The SDEC members get a lot of input from people who have opinions, and they want to share those with you. And so I'm all ears. If you all have strong views on the type of person you're looking for, or a particular person you're looking for, please share that with me. So let me go over this and let you know that we have some very good candidates, I think, who are running. I think some of them are stronger than others, and you'll sort of see when I give you my little review of that. But first, let's talk about the process of how we do it. The period of time for one to sign up to run for chair started the middle of December, December the 16th. It continued through 6 p.m. on Monday, January the 27th. And we have 9 candidates who signed up. We had one that signed up literally at the last second. I don't know what that means. Maybe they were waiting to see who else was going to run, or maybe they weren't sure. But we had someone sign up at like 5 o'clock on the end of the day where it ended at 6. There has to be a quorum of the SDEC present, which means a majority. And I suspect we'll have close to 100% of the SDEC there that day. It's going to be on the 29th of March in Austin. That's when we will meet and vote and deal with this in an in-person meeting that weekend. The eligible voters are going to be all members of the SDEC. That includes the statutory members as well as the add-ons. Now, most of you who are party folk know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you may not know what that means. Each congressional district, used to be Senate district, now congressional district has 2 SDEC representatives, and they have to be of different genders. It doesn't necessarily be male and female, but different genders. So there's 2 from each of the now, what is it, 76 congressional seats. So there's 38 congressional seats times 2. So there's 76 statutory members of the SDEC. There used to be 62 because we had 31 Senate districts. Now there's 76. Now, several years ago, we expanded the SDEC to include representatives of various groups. We have Texas Democratic Women. We have the Black Caucus. We have Environmental Caucus. We have Labor Caucus, so forth and so on. So there are a lot of extra folks who represent. We have Hispanic Caucus. We have Young Hispanics. We have Texas the Young Democrats. So all of them have representatives on the SDEC who are not elected statutorily from their congressional district at the convention. They are elected by their caucus. And so if you've been to a state convention, you know that you go to the caucus meetings and oftentimes you'll vote for a chair and vice chair and so forth. Well, they will select the people who serve on the SDEC from that particular caucus, or that interest caucus that you all attend at the convention. So that's how we get to like 120 people who are the decision makers here. So these 9 folks, their constituency to win from are the 120 or so voters on the state Democratic Executive Committee. So they have to have a majority of those members present when we have that vote. Proxies are allowed. That's why I think we're going to have close to 100%, because even if somebody can't make it, they're obviously going to send a proxy and probably their instructions as to how they would like that proxy to vote. So it's going to be a pretty full, well over 100 people will participate in this vote. The decision was made at the December meeting to make this selection by a different process. It's very different for the party. We're going to do this by ranked choice voting. And those of you who aren't as familiar with political science, this is a new and modern way to have voting without having to have a runoff between the top 2. Obviously, we've got 9 people. No one's going to win on the first ballot. So there has to be a process of, how that's going to be done. Typically, you would take the top 2 vote getters and then have another election. But that doesn't occur when you have ranked choice voting. Each of the members of SDC will select their top 3 candidates of the 9, and we'll put them in a particular ranked vote, choice vote, and then somehow, I don't know how it works, but bean counters will figure out who the top voters are, and the ones that don't get the amounts, they'll go to their second choice. In other words, the ones that don't make it, they are taken out, and then the other choices are counted. I'm a little bit uncertain about it. I'm old-fashioned. I like to do it, where you can really see it. Everybody have it out in the open. This is kind of done by computer in the back room, but there are a lot of people who think this is a better way to do it. Certainly for elections, it saves money as far as having to have a runoff. But it also changes the complexion of a race because typically you would have all the also-rans left behind, and then you have your top two people, and then there would be a lot of arm twisting and smoke-filled room and backdoor deals and that sort of thing to figure out which caucus is going to support which person after you figure out who the two real candidates are going to be. So that's that's eliminated when you have the ranked choice voting process. But a lot of the younger people really like that. I actually was not supportive of that. But the majority of the STC did vote for ranked choice voting, and that's how we're going to do it because the majority rules on that vote. So that will happen on the 29th of March. There are other little bit of rules here just for transparency. The ballots will be retained by the party for 60 days. There's all sorts of ways to take a look at it. If there's ties, it'll be determined by a coin toss or a die roll. I mean, they prepared for any possible contingency as to what could happen if there were ties or if there were other issues. No secret ballots will be used. Everything will be open and inspectable by all of the candidates. Let's see what else. So that's the process. That will take place on the 29th of March. Now, there are candidate forums. How many of you have either been to one or watched it online? Anybody done that? Some of you have. There is going to be one on the 22nd, which is a Saturday here in Dallas. We've already had one in Houston this weekend. I watched that one. The Texas Progressive Caucus, Texas Democratic Progressive Caucus had theirs a few weeks ago. There's been one in South Texas that was sort of informal and not on the books. But the first official one was Saturday in Houston, and the next official one will be here in Dallas, Dallas-Fort Worth on the 22nd. It's going to be at Union Hall in Grand Prairie. IBEW, I think, is the Union Hall over there. Many of you have been there for various meetings and so forth. That's going to be available for anyone who wants to participate. The last one, well, there's going to be one in Lubbock, I think, on March 1st. And then the final one will be Friday, March 28th, the day before the SDEC votes, and that one will be in Austin. Okay.
You're all voting the same way.
I'm sorry?
You're all voting the same way. The right choice.
I don't quite understand your question.
Same method. You're all.
Well, we only have one vote. That's on the 29th. Well, that's just for people to hear from the candidates. It's a candidate forum. And so all these candidates are going for these various places to visit with people in Texas to share with them their views. It's a campaign, right? It's a statewide campaign. Now, all those people don't get a vote who are showing up, but they get to hear from the candidates. And if they have a strong view, they can let their SDEC committee person know, hey, I really like Susie, or I really like Sam, or whatever. So I've actually had a couple of people have given me an index card. I'm not an index, a business card, with here are my three choices, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. I'll do my best to make sure at least one of your choices get to be among my top 3. So you're welcome to do that. If you have a top 3 and you want to give me a business card with your 3 names, I'm happy to take it. I'm looking at this. I mean, just tell you, I am undecided. I know several of these people. I've worked with them. I know some of their strengths and their weaknesses, but I haven't heard everything about what they want to do about some of the problems and issues that I think are important. And so I am very much not going to endorse anyone, at least certainly not before we have our forum here in Dallas. And I've been hounded by all the candidates. They're calling me, it's kind of fun, to be pursued, by all these people running. And I am fiercely independent on this. And I learned that a while ago, and following one of my heroes of Ken Moberg. He always told me, David, keep your powder dry as long as you can. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm very open-minded. I want to hear from any of you that have strong opinions. I do think there's at least 4 of these 9 candidates who could be good chairs of the state Democratic Party. So I want to share with you that. Now let's talk about at this point, now that you know the process and why we're doing this, let me tell you about the candidates who are running. And some of my impressions that I've gained from listening to them and reading about them. There's a guy named Aaron Arguello. Arguello, I believe. He is from, I believe, the Valley. He is a small business owner. He's purchased land and he wants to invest in rural areas. He's a vet with 3 children. Let's see. I took some notes here. And one of his big things is to establish the donation rules of the Federal Election Commission, which of course is different from, the Texas Ethics Commission. He is Hispanic and he's from the Valley. So he's one of the candidates. His name is Aaron Arguello. Then we have Misha Ben David. Misha is a rabbi with a beard, he says. He is a former journalist, a recovering alcoholic who's now a counselor. He counsels gay men and lesbians. He's real big on that. My opinion is he doesn't know much about our party, but he is a religious candidate, very pro-Israel. And his name is Misha Ben David. He hasn't been on all of the forums, but that's what I learned about him from one of them. Then Maddie Gomez. Maddie's actually a friend of mine. I know her. She's from the Valley as well, the Rio Grande Valley. She is a graduate of UT Rio Grande Valley in accounting. She is an accountant. She has a tax practice down there. She calls herself an athlete and a mom. She's real proud of that. She's a very interesting person. I think she has some great ideas. I kind of think she's more of a regional candidate. However, I don't know that she has a following across the state, but that's what I know about Maddie. And then there's Reverend Steve Miller from Henderson, Texas, from East Texas. Steve Miller, African American. He is a small town preacher. He's a Army Reserve. He's a veteran in Army Reserve. He has an MBA in finance. He's been a banker for 10 years. He also has a Master of Divinity, which gives him his preaching credentials. He is real big on rural outreach. He, being from a rural county in East Texas, he believes that the party should pay more attention to rural areas, which is something I agree with. He claims he has no fundraising experience, but he said he'll hire somebody to do that. So that's Reverend Steve Miller. Then there's Patricia Olivares. Patricia is from Houston. She is Hispanic. She's had 6 years of electoral politics as a consultant. She said she claims to have raised $1 million for the candidate she consulted for in House District 126. She's the director of guest relations for a nonprofit women's organization. So that is Patricia Olivares. I've met her once before. She's from Houston, but again, I don't see her with a strong statewide network. Now, the following candidates are ones that I know very well personally. And one is Delia Parker Mims, who is the county chair in Denton County. You all may know Delia. Delia is an attorney, very sharp attorney. I think she's done a very good job as chair of Denton County. She claims that she was the county chair of one of the few counties that actually did better this time than last time, and that's true. I think there was about a 1,200 vote increase in the Democratic vote in Denton County. She likes to talk about that. So she's had some success in that one county. Keep in mind, there's 254 of them. And I don't know what kind of statewide presence she has, but I know her to be a very a good person, and I like the fact that she's obviously an attorney. She is involved in the community with a whole lot of organizations and chambers of commerce. She definitely has the community connection. She's had some fundraising success, I think, in Denton County as well. So she's, I think, one of the four possibilities statewide. Then there's Kendall Scudder. Many of you know Kendall. He's the vice chair of finance currently for the Texas Democratic Party. Kendall is also a friend of mine. Kendall has kind of done it all. He's run for office as a state representative candidate. He's actually serving currently in office in DCAD, the Dallas Central Appraisal District, DCAD, as one of our representatives on DCAD. He has been a precinct chair. He has been a member of the SDEC. He currently serves a state office in the Democratic Party, which is the vice chair of finance. And those of you who were at the convention last time may have voted for him. You notice that he was at Dallas where he was elected that? I think it was, as vice chair of finance. So he is certainly a strong candidate and is local. He also does very well with younger people. So many of our millennials and younger and Gen Zers and so forth are very taken by Kendall. He is a very good communicator and speaks well in public, but he hasn't had the fundraising experience statewide that some of the final two candidates have. So the last two are Patsy Woods Martin. Patsy Woods Martin is a candidate who has a tremendous amount of fundraising experience. She came in when the leader of Annie's List several years ago became ill and took over that program and raised millions of dollars for Annie's List. And so she has connections across the state to the fundraising community. That is a strong point for her. She also claims that she raised a whole lot of money with Beto, millions of dollars for his campaigns. So she's got several state representatives who have endorsed her, as well as a couple of Houston commissioners. I've gotten information on that. So she definitely has a statewide presence on fundraising. However, she's never served in the party. You know, she's like the opposite of Kendall, who's done everything in the party, and she's done virtually nothing. But she has done things with campaigns, and she has a tremendous amount of fundraising experience. So you see where this is kind of going, right? There's certain candidates that are really good on one thing and maybe not so strong on the other, which is what's going to make this thing a real difficult thing to deal with. And finally, I'm sorry.
What is her name?
Patsy Woods Martin is her name. Patsy Woods Martin. I definitely think she's one of the finalists, as is Lily Schechter. Yes.
Kendall's position now is vice president for finance, but he
Vice
doesn't
chair.
do fundraising.
Vice chair of finance. Oh yeah, he does. Well, independent of that, of his position there, you know, yes, Kendall would tell you he's raised a lot of money, probably over $1 million for the party, and that's a good point for him.
Back into the black after the party was in the red.
That's right. Kendall has a very strong. I really think he's a finalist as well. Kendall and Delia, Patsy, and then this last person, Lily Schechter. It was as a former chair of the Harris County Democratic Party. She's also a fundraiser. So she actually has information. She's got some experience that is, both the party and outside fundraising. One thing I note with her is she did kind of wait to the very last minute. She decided to sign up on the last day that she was eligible to run. Most of us thought that we had the list put together, but she'd been thinking about it. We knew about it, but she did come in at the last minute. I've had a conversation with Lily. She's quite competent, I think. She certainly is one of the finalists. She's not as well known up here, however, in North Texas as much as Kendall and Patsy are. So among those of that I've heard from, it's mostly Patsy and Kendall, but and then a few for Delia. But I think Lily is certainly someone to be considered as well. So those are your candidates, and they all have different strengths. Like I say, I think there's 4 of them that are in the running, so to speak, and there are 5 that are going to probably struggle a bit to make it. So the key is who are in the top 3, right? You can't really win unless you make it to the top 3 for this ranked choice voting. Who knows how that will turn out? We're halfway through the election. There's 3 more forums to be had. Anything could happen. Issues could come up, challenges could be made, and so forth. But those are your candidates. Now, what do I think we should look for in a candidate for state chair? This is the last category, and this is what I think is important. Obviously, fundraising is essential. The chair of the Democratic Party, Texas, has to be a fundraiser in chief, or at least have a plan to be a fundraiser, or be able to find the money to hire a top-notch fundraiser to raise money for the party, because we're in competition with those funders who are funding campaigns. Beto was a wonderful candidate for us, but he sucked the money out of what the party was trying to raise because he needed it for his campaign. And he did a wonderful job. The party could not have possibly raised as much money as he was able to do, but it was all independent of the structure of the party. So we haven't had a strong fundraising structure for the party. Now, Kendall's done a very good job with what he had to work with, and he's also revived our sustaining membership campaign, which I've participated in for a very long time. And that's wonderful to get activists to give their money and get a lot of people giving small amounts of money to the party. But to win the campaigns in Texas, you need a lot more than just a whole bunch of activists giving $100, a month or whatever. You need big donors. And so we've got to have someone who has a plan for getting the money, because you cannot win an election in Texas without money. That's just the nature of where we are in today. So fundraising is important. We have to win elections. We have to put together a plan to win certainly back the Texas House. That's critical, or at least gets close enough that we can have an impact there. The Senate is a little more difficult. It's going to take a while probably to flip the Texas Senate, but we're right there. We've been close before. If things had gone differently, we could have probably taken the House. We came very close to that in 2008. It was 76-74. That's how close we were after that 2008 election. There's 150 seats, but we weren't able to continue that progress in 2010, and so we lost 22 seats in 2010, and we've been struggling to get them back ever since. We've gotten closer, but we have to be able to do that. So we need a plan. We need to be able to focus on whether we're going to try to win our statewide offices or try to use our money across the state in other races to give people money. How strategic do we need to be? There needs to be a plan. One thing I like that Kendall is saying is we need a strategic plan, and we need to follow that plan. And we really don't have one. So that's important. And I think that should be a top priority. Make sure that our metro areas are worked and worked better. Dallas County did not turn out as well as it normally does this year. And we don't really know exactly why, but we didn't quite do the same thing we typically do in South Dallas. The presence wasn't there. People who are activists down there will tell you that there weren't signs. There wasn't the full force of our coordinated campaign that we normally have. Whether that was the reason or whether people were just disenchanted or maybe not as excited about our national ticket as they should have been, who knows? But they should have been. Dallas County should have turned out big for Colin Allred. And we turned out, but not big. You know, we can get 65% of the vote out, and for a 65-35 Democratic result in Dallas County. We barely got to 60, so we were 5% shy of what we have been able to do. And this was a presidential year. We're supposed to do the best in a presidential year, and we were short of that. We got all our people over the line. Nobody had a problem with a county-wide victory. But in 2026, that's when all of our judges and our county offices will be up, and we're going to be in the middle of a Republican term. Got to hope that the pendulum will swing back and we'll have a pretty good year in 2026. But that's not guaranteed. You know, we thought we'd have a good year in 2024 and we didn't. So we got to make sure that we keep our urban areas turning out for us. Then rural areas. This is an area where some of the candidates are making a big push for in rural areas. We're not going to win the rural areas. I mean, it's just a fact. It's just not going to happen. But if we can have a presence out there, if we can reduce the 75-25% ration that we get in some of these rural areas, and that's true. Sometimes that's that high. There was one county in West Texas where Trump got 80% of the vote. 80% of the vote. We have no presence there, you know, and the 20% of Democrats who vote are scared to tell anybody that they voted for Kamala Harris out there, right? So we have got to figure out a way, in my opinion, to have a storefront presence in a lot of these rural counties where people will not feel embarrassed to go in and volunteer and help. People need to realize that, yes, you can vote for a Democrat in rural East Texas and not be called a communist, right? That's just a problem that we have to address. So if we can reduce the negativity in our rural areas together with the increases in the urban areas, might do the trick for us to finally turn the state blue. And I want to hear from all of these candidates, especially the front runners, what their plan is for that, because that's important for me. And then finally, the most important of all is what I see as a huge problem, and that is the loss that we're seeing in South Texas and in the Rio Grande Valley. This is an area that is absolutely critical. If you had a table with three, sticks on it to hold it up, if we lose the South Texas area, we've lost one of our sticks that holds up that table or that chair. And we can't do that. We are not doing very well in South Texas. And there's been a lot of discussion about it. Abortion was one of those issues. We're trying to figure out exactly what happened. One thing we know is the Republicans really targeted that area. They spent a lot of money trying to win some of those congressional seats down there. And they've been able to get some of our Democratic House members to switch parties. And so we've had some local folks that have switched parties and other things. There is a concern among Tejano Democrats, the traditional Hispanic Democrats that have been here for many generations, and there is a conservative view there about immigration and people who are coming over because they've been here for a long, long time and established themselves, and they're not real happy about what they see at the border. So we see it from a very progressive viewpoint, but some folks down there see it differently. We have not figured out how to message that very well. Beto seems to have it down. Beto's not one of the candidates. We thought he might be running for state chair, but he decided not to do that. So I think we need to have a sort of a task force from the state party to look into how we win back South Texas, or at least stop the hemorrhaging. because if the hemorrhaging continues, we'll never turn the state blue, no matter how hard we work in urban areas or how many votes we get back from rural areas. We absolutely have to keep that foundational leg of the stool in South Texas strong and continue to build on it. So that's just my opinion, you know. So questions from anybody? Yes.
It's not a question, well, I guess. Have they thought about having co-chairs, since there are a lot of people who have one string but not both?
Well,
And these are working people, they're people who are running a business and trying to keep that afloat during their reign, so to speak. And, you know, has that been broached at all?
I'm not aware that that has come up this time. The chair position is statutory. It is something that each party has. I don't know if we can have a co-chair, whether the election laws will allow that. If they do allow for it, then it would be a rules change that would have to be made, the Texas Democratic Party rules. And it would have to go through the Rules Committee and the SDEC, and it would have to be proposed.
No, I understand.
It's an interesting thought. I appreciate you sharing it, and I'll kind of, you know, bring that up and
Like
sign it.
9 And of those 9 people, each of them has a strength that would be good for the party, but they don't have the other side of it. You know,
Right.
So
That's the conundrum that we find ourselves in right now. And I think the SDC is probably going to have to decide, do we want to have someone who has an established fundraising presence across the state, who you know, can go to a donor and immediately have cred, so to speak, and pull in money, but maybe has not had experience leading a political organization or ever had any grassroots background. You know, some would say, well, that's something you can learn, you know. But that, you know, we have a candidate who's very strong on that. But, you know, it's a little bit of a risk if you you know, put someone in who has that fundraising ability, but maybe not the experience otherwise. And then on the other hand, you've got someone who has a lot of party experience, has a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and brings in a whole lot of younger people and so forth, who has had some experience in fundraising, but not multi-million dollars, you know, and not connections with donors across the state, you know. So
what is our representation willing to say, if you did have a person that has good strategy, good ideas, millennial vision, et cetera, what is the strategy and what is the approval process for them to actually hire someone as a fundraiser? I mean,
right.
has this been talked about?
Right. The other 8 candidates are all talking about hiring a fundraiser. The one who has the fundraising experience is probably not going to do that. We'll have to raise the money. The state party will have to raise the money to pay for the position of a fundraiser. We have a budget and people give to the party. And so there are a lot of staff that are hired, and a fundraiser in chief, so to speak, is certainly one of the positions that the chair could hire, or at least an executive director who would either be the fundraiser or would hire somebody. Let me get some other questions over here. Yes, sir.
I want to know if it has been a retrospect of what happened during the last election in the state of Texas. If the study has been done, if any result has been shared, and based on that study, what are the problem areas that supposedly newly elected leadership are supposed to address? But if we haven't done any retrospective and we don't know what was the problems that caused us the failure, how can we ask the new leadership to do something
Yep.
effective?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think those questions are being asked all over the country. I don't know that there's been any political science study done on what the main reasons were, but polling would suggest that immigration and the economy were the biggest areas. But you have also issues that are regional. You know, it is possible that in South Texas, where we did not do as well, there could have been some regional issues. Perhaps the immigration issue was stronger there. There's been also a lot of talk and discussion that abortion and LGBTQ issues were very important to Rio Grande Valley voters. That might not have been what the reason why the turnout was less in Dallas County. It might have been a different reason. See, so there hasn't really been the time for us to do a lot of study of that. I think everybody's scratching their heads trying to figure it out, but that's a good point. I think we do need to try to address that and figure it out. But once that has happened, yes, I think there will be a lot of discussion about how we do the messaging, and that'll be worked out with our new chair. I think Jan, you were next.
Oh, we need to wrap it up.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
She's been asked the question.
Okay.
the last-
Jan, go ahead.
We need to get out of here by 8.
Yeah, well, and we're not gonna say anything about this rally?
Yes, we are. That's why I'm trying to head it off now.
Okay, so quickly then, when's the last time there was a female chair of the state party? Do you think that's important? And do you know the approximate age of your top 4?
Yes, Molly Beth Malcolm was the female chair of the party when I started on the SDEC. That was in the 2000s, like 2004, 5, that time frame. And then as far as the age, I think Kendall's probably is mid-30s, I would guess, mid to late 30s. And then Patsy Woods Martin, I would guess maybe in her 60s, guessing. Lily Schechter probably in her late 50s. And Delia, what do you think? Start 40s? Delia's probably 40s. Those are the leading candidates. Sorry, I went on too far.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for listening.
Okay, yes, Jan has an announcement. I want to say one thing really quickly before she comes up here. Please, 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 I'm going to harp on this every meeting. Please call your members of Congress. It doesn't have to be a complicated message. I called John Cornyn today. I called Ted Cruz. I called Beth Van Dyne. I just said, you know what? We didn't elect Musk. I don't want Musk and I don't want Doge. It's just something really simple. It doesn't have to be, you know, a long spiel. Just call them. I actually got through to John Cornyn today, and for more than 2 years, no one's answered. I've always had to leave a message with Cornyn's offices. Yeah.
Able to get hold of Ted Cruz.
Say it again.
Maybe able to get hold of Ted Cruz.
I did speak to a staffer, but the connection was weirdly really bad. So,
Oh.
okay, Jan.
So you may have flyers on your tables. There's a rally this Saturday, downtown Dallas, 2:00 in the afternoon. It's called the No Cuts Rally. The sponsors are the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans and the Dallas AFL-CIO. Horace and I are both members of the TARA, Retired Americans Group. And at our meeting on Wednesday, the man who's the state president of that organization spoke. And he said, with all the various constituencies everywhere trying to fight everything, in his mind, we all need to pull together and rally together with labor and workers at the core of it, with all of the different pieces involved. So I'm planning to take the Green Line train downtown. It's maybe a quarter to maybe a half mile from the West End station to the location of the rally. It's called the No Cuts Rally, and the woman who kind of spearheading it said, make your sign say no cuts to, you know, Social Security or education or whatever you want to fill in the blank with. But it'd be really great to have a lot of people there.
Yeah, that's what the signs making is tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you mean by no touch?
No cuts.
No cuts.
No cuts. Cuts.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
There's also a fundraiser, on April 4th.
Yeah, I announced that, the Dallas County Democratic Party fish fry. Yes.
Well, where do we go to RSVP for the junk Brazil event?
So if you look back at your email that came out from Metro Crest Democrats, the link was on that. So there, I think one went out today. Yeah, so there was a link to sign up for both of those things. Okay, thanks everybody. See you next month. How do you?
We're signing off now, Steve.
Work great, Kurt. Well done. Hi, Kurt.
Hey, Stephen.
Everything
Talk
worked.
talk to you next time.
We're all done for the night. It worked great.
Good. Good to hear that.
Good.
We'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Take
Have a
care.
good evening. Take care.
You too. Bye. Oh, wait, yours.
Or I'll be
to
in
you
touch
later.
tomorrow. Take care.
Okay.
Take care, my friend. See you.
We'll
Good night,
talk
guys.
later.
Good night,
Signing
guys.
off.